Right, so here we have a quick example to recognize the domain. Ooh, that should say domain, not domain. Recognize the domain and range. What are the domain and range of the function? So here we have an ordered or a table of values with ordered pairs. This x goes with this y, this x goes with this y, and so on. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ordered pairs. To identify the domain and range, remember the domain, we'll just make a couple notes. Domain is your input values. And in a table of values, the input values are the x's. The range, those are your output values. And in a table of values, those will be the y's. So we will write this domain. We're going to write it as a set of numbers. So we're going to get one of those brackets, and then we're just going to list the domain. Those are all of the x values. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then the range are these y values. Now, one thing I want to point out, our y values, we have 11, 12, and then 13, 13, 13. When we write these out, if you have repeated values, we don't actually write those repeats. The range has an output of 13. We don't need to write the 13 3 times. So we've got 11, 12, and 13 in our range. And again, the range are those output values. Our domain, we are inputting a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we are getting back as output values 11, 12, and 13. And the last thing I want to point out here is we are told in the directions that this is a function. So let's just talk about the fact that it is a function and make sure we recognize why. So in a function, each element in the domain maps to exactly one output. So do you see how I have a 1 as my input and it's only giving me back one value, 11? I don't have, here's what it would look like if, let's say 111, let's say I had one that also had an input of 1 that also had an output of, let's say, 20. So you can see that in this example, our input is not mapping to exactly one output. If I input a 1 and I get an 11 back one time, a 20 back another time, that would not be a function. So functions, even though we have repeats in the output, that's okay. Each input is giving back one output. I'm not inputting an 11 and getting back two different y values. I input a 2, I get back a 12. I don't put input a 2 a second time and get back a different number. So this is a function. This down here, what I just showed, would not be a function.